I can't hear anything. Hi, everyone. We're going to get started in literally 2 minutes. I'm excited to see you and share this information. So just 2 more minutes. Give me just 2 minutes.
Oh, we can see you, Dawn. Okay.
Okay, perfect. I think we are ready to start. Oh, nope. Get someone else. There we go. Okay, so this is a very, very special presentation. Um, I'm going to ask that everyone, if you could please take your notes and take your questions, write them down on a piece of paper. I have a lot to cover. So if you could write down your questions, and then we'll wait till the end of my presentation and I'll go through the questions with you. But because I have a lot to go over, I'd like if you could just wait until the end, okay? This presentation also I'm going to be using on YouTube. So if anyone is camera shy, then please feel free to leave your video off. And obviously, I'm going to ask everyone to mute themselves as well. And then that'll make it so that it's a nice, smooth transition. Okay. So I think that I can just about get started. I'm just waiting to see if there's any other ones that might be heading in. So let's get started. Okay, so again, this is a very special presentation. A lot of you have asked the question as to what is the science and the history of such a valuable technology. My name is Timna Sturdivant, and I am a traditional naturopath and a bioenergy nutritional consultant and a quantum living advocate for Solex. I absolutely love the AO scan. It is an amazing scan for so many different reasons. I actually have been using the actual scanner since February, and I've already been familiar with frequencies and the history and the science behind them and quantum physics and physics. So this is definitely something that I have a passion for. So I'm really excited to be able to share this with you all because I've already learned it throughout my history as a child. My father had different units and devices and methods in his wellness center. And then when I was in college, this is what we learned, bioenergy. It was all about the energy and the frequencies of living things, whether it was an organism or food or what have you. So let's get started. So the science and history of the science and history of a valuable technology. We know Einstein, Dr. Albert Einstein, he gave us the quote, "Future medicine will be the medicine of frequencies." I'm going to share with you to get started a video by Dr. Earl. And I really like how he summarizes everything before I get into deeper detail. Here we go.
Hi, this is Dr. Earl with Solix. I'm excited to talk to you today about the powerful technology and science behind the AO Scan Mobile. Now, if you will indulge me for just a second, let me introduce myself for those of you who don't know me. I practiced emergency medicine for 16 years, and it was amazing because I got to see everything that medicine encompasses, from pregnant moms, newborn babies, all the way up to geriatrics, where we saw strokes and heart attacks, neurosurgery, the neurosciences, etc. And it was amazing. Well, I ended up getting sick, and frankly, Western medicine didn't have an answer for me. So I started looking elsewhere and came across amazing, true science that absolutely changes the game as far as health and medicine is concerned. And one of those is the AO Scan Mobile in Solix. Well, I've formed several companies that have helped move medicine hopefully forward in a very powerful way. But I'm super excited about Solix and the technology and the amazing science behind it. Now, in a previous video, I talked briefly about the basic physics, the core science that really makes it so that the AO Scan Mobile can read what's going on in your body. And if you'd like a little more information, I'll refer you to that. But just briefly, would you bear with me while I do a quick review? So, if we apply all of the agencies, all of the things that medicine involves, then we need to start looking outside of pharmaceuticals and surgeries. And the reality is, if you look at atoms and what makes up the core basis of life as we know it, there is a nucleus in the center, there are electrons outside, and then everything else in between is energy. And some will say empty space, but the reality is, when we really go about measuring that, they are energy and energy levels. Well, again, taking the atom and breaking it down, that means we are 2% solid, 2%. Well, that also means then that we are 98% energy. So if you start thinking about energy and the impact it has in our lives, it becomes amazing and powerful. It's the other 98% of what makes up life as we know it. And again, this isn't just me saying this, this is core basic science. Well, because of that, Tesla referred to the understanding of the universe as having an understanding of energy, vibration, and frequency. And he later added resonance. So energy, frequency, vibration, and resonance. Well, let's talk briefly about each of those. So there's a lot of different types of energy. There's everything from thermal energy, sound waves, and the list goes on, and you can see the list there. There's infrared, and again, amazing different types of energy. Well, everything has an energy frequency. Everything has an energy signature, would be the better way to put it. Because at the core, they've found that, again, this goes all the way down to the atom. Frequencies has to do with how that energy is expressed and how it comes out. And it is really amplitude over time. Now, that may not mean much to you, but it means a lot to us when we start to measure that energy. And lastly, energy has a frequency and a vibration so that when energy is applied to certain substances, it gives off a very specific vibration because of the makeup. And a perfect example of this is the tuning fork. No matter what you strike a tuning fork against, it will give off a signature vibration and sound. And that sound comes with an energy, a frequency, and a vibration. Well, when you start asking again and referring again to the atom, that this goes all the way down to the core of life, atoms have a very specific energy. They have a very specific frequency. And did you know they also have a very specific vibration? Scientists just recently discovered that atoms actually give off a sound. That's amazing. And so everything has a signature energy, frequency, and vibration. And that's how we can measure what's going on inside of your body and compare it to normal. So atoms become molecules, molecules become cells, cells become tissues, tissues to organs, organs are systems, organs and organisms, and away we go, and that's all of us. Each with our own separate energy, frequency, and vibration. Well, in medicine, we've been using energy, frequency, and vibration for years. This is an EKG, and it actually shows a different frequency and vibration and an energy signal that we use to read how the heart is performing. We've done this for decades. Additionally, we have magnetic resonance imagery, MRIs. Now MRIs are amazing technology because we actually use a strong magnet to change the polarity of the cell, and then by pinging radio waves off it, we can tell what the resonance of that tissue is and then convert that into an image. Amazing. So, just a quick review. Everything has a signature blueprint, a signature energy, frequency, and vibration. And everything can be measured, quantified, and compared against normal. And that's what we do with the AOScan Mobile when we read what's going on or scan our bodies. Well, let's talk a little bit now about how we balance things out and what happens there, because we're going to discuss what happens with resonance. Now, if you look at this, it says resonance describes the phenomenon of increased amplitude that occurs when the frequency of a periodically amplified force is equal or close to a natural frequency of the system on which it acts. Now, that's hard for me even to say. So what does it really mean? It means that tuning fork A, if it's giving off its standard energy, frequency, and vibration, is close enough to impact tuning fork B, that tuning fork B will actually start to sing the way that tuning fork A is. So it has an impact. That's amazing. Well, we know this to be the case because we can actually stack waveforms by putting waveform A and waveform B together to make waveform C and amplify those waveforms and add them together. And this is actually what happens when a soprano sings at a certain octave. She actually sings in such a frequency and with such force that as the sound goes around the glass, eventually it builds and builds and builds and adds on top of itself until the glass shatters. Did you know we can also do the opposite? We can take two energy signatures and give the opposite signature and then cancel them out. And this is what noise canceling headphones are all about. It's amazing technology because it has energy, frequency, and vibration. And now we're using resonance, which is the power of that energy, frequency, and vibration to either augment or delete the other waveform. So let's go back to the MRI, because we know in an MRI that different tissues will respond to different resonance. That's the power of an MRI. So it takes those cells, polarizes them, and then pings radio waves off them, and based on the resonance, based on the near ping, if you will, the near energy that that tissue gives back, tells us what to put on the image for the MRI. We even use resonance in something called a gamma knife. So a gamma knife allows us to do procedures or to affect tissues with radiation and other energy sequences, and a deep level inside the brain or other tissues where it would be absolutely dangerous for us to perform that surgery. But by putting different waves at different locations and then having them coincide at a location very specific to the gamma knife, it produces resonance, increased frequency, and it actually works as a knife to help destroy that tissue that we don't want. Amazing technology. So again, medicine is already using what we have in the AO Scan Mobile. This is just logic, physics, science applied in a brand new exciting way. Now wait a second. Everything has energy, frequency, and vibration that can be measured, and then it can be influenced by resonance. Is that what we're saying? Yes, that's what we're saying. And so when we start taking the AO Scan Mobile and we start balancing things out, that's what we're doing, is we are reading what your body has going on inside, we're comparing it to normal, and then we use a like frequency to try to move that energy back towards normal. Amazing. So, it's no more complicated, it's no more simple, it's no more complex, it's no more amazing than just that. We measure it, we compare it to normal, and then we use that resonance to pull things back towards normal. Now, some patients and people ask, why don't we just bring it all the way back to normal? Well, we found through, again, the scientists that did extensive research on this from the United States, Germany, Russia, Italy, and the list goes on, they found that if we push the tissues too fast back to normal instantly, the tissues actually can reject it, and it can actually cause damage. And so what you'll find is as you use your AO Scan Mobile, you may not come back to normal each and every time that fast. And that is a benefit. And that proves the scientific validity of what we're doing here, because we've gone deep enough to look at what makes a difference. And we want to pull you back gradually over time. That's why it's important to use your AO Scan Mobile frequently and appropriately. This slide talks about life being redefined and that you're 99.999% empty space. But I want to actually focus on the fact that that's not the reality. The reality is we are 99.99 or 98%. And again, that just depends upon who's doing the measuring and the science. It's a pretty insignificant difference. We are that amount of energy. So, AO Scan Mobile, Solex, true science, logically applied. Thank you.
I love that video. I think it's awesome how Dr. Earl explains it. And then let me go ahead and share with you the next slide. And Dr. Earl already talked a lot about resonance, and Dr. Earl already talked about the resonance and frequencies, right, and the history of it. Now let's go a little bit deeper, and I'm going to continue with more of the history of the technology. And this I'm going to read specifically from the experts. So this is Dr. Heinrich Wilhelm Dove, and he was a physicist and a meteorologist and considered the father of binaural beats or binaural tones. In 1839, physicist and meteorologist Heinrich Wilhelm Dove performed experiments that identified binaural beats. While headphones are used today to produce this effect, Dove created tones of different frequencies and used tubes to lead the sounds into each ear of study participants. It took more than 100 years before biophysicist Gerald Oster published his findings in 1973 on how binaural beats utilize different pathways within the brain than typical responses to sound stimuli. Oster discovered that these auditory illusions may be used as diagnostic tool and a potential treatment for conditions unrelated to the auditory system. EEG activity is a response to binaural beats with different frequencies. So that's an example of it being used in the medical field. Next, Dr. Albert Abrams. He was a German and American medical doctor. He was considered the father of radionics or radiesthesia, electronic medicine, or electronics. There's several different synonyms to the word radionics. A brilliant doctor ahead of his time. So Dr. Abrams held an American MD at the age of 19. He was a genius. He next enrolled as an undergraduate at the University of, with my Zoom pic, Heidelberg, and graduated with the degrees of MA and another MD degree. Abrams continued his postgraduate studies in Berlin, Paris, Vienna, and London under the tutelage of Virchow, Ferrick, Wassermann, and Hermann von Helmholtz. It was during his time with Helmholtz, who was a renowned scientific figure, that Abrams developed his interest in the possible connection between physics and his specialty, biology. After his return to the United States, Abrams was appointed demonstrator of pathology, then professor of pathology at Cooper Medical College in San Francisco, California. He was next appointed as director of clinical medicine at the Leland Stanford University. Abrams also authored many books, which can be found in the Library of Congress, as well as numerous articles for professional journals. Abrams' medical specialty was diseases of the nervous system, and he was regarded in his day as one of the foremost neurologists. Abrams discovered what would eventually be called radionics in the medical field by percussing his patients. And oops, my Zoom menu is covering, I think it says, and it's used down to this day. Percussing is a practice utilized by doctors of placing a finger of one hand on the patient's abdomen. I'm going to put myself over here in this corner. And then tapping on that finger 3 with a finger of the other hand. The resulting sound, whether dull or hollow, provides the doctor with information about the density of the tissue underlying the finger. It was during an examination of a cancer patient that Abrams noticed, while percussing the patient, a dull sound was produced only when the patient faced west. While facing in any other direction, the sound produced was a hollow sound. Dr. Abrams believed from his observation that the patient's orientation to the Earth's magnetic field produced physiological changes in the body, and he believed that the disease was radiating, producing the dull note on the patient's abdomen. Abrams then began to experiment using cancer tissue held in a glass jar next to a healthy patient's abdomen while percussing the healthy patient. The tone produced was the same dull tone as that produced when percussing an actual cancer patient. When the cancer specimen was removed from the room and the healthy patient percussed, the normal hollow sound was again heard. Abrams reasoned from his observations that molecules of diseased tissue must be different from molecules of healthy tissues. He also speculated that the atomic and electronic structures of diseased and healthy tissue must be different. He theorized that this radiation from diseased tissue was caused by an abnormal arrangement of moving electrons and must be electric in nature, perhaps lending itself to be conducted in a wire. Abrams' idea that these radiations could be conducted over a wire led him to perform experiments to determine if his supposition was correct. In these experiments, Abrams fastened a disc to an electric wire and then secured this disc to a patient with a rubber band. Another larger disc with an insulated handle was fastened to the other end of the wire. An assistant hidden behind a screen held the insulated electrode toward the curtain while Abrams percussed a healthy patient, receiving a hollow tone. The assistant was then instructed to randomly, without telling Abrams, point the electrode at the cancer specimen and at the ceiling. Abrams percussed the patient each time the assistant moved the electrode. When comparing notes, the experiment demonstrated that when the electrode was pointed toward the ceiling, A hollow tone was produced, and when the electrode was pointing at the cancer specimen, a dull sound was produced. These experiments opened the door for the invention of first what was called the dynamizer, and was actually a condenser. Extending his diagnostic methods, Abrams developed another device, the reflexophone, to measure the frequencies produced by healthy and diseased tissue vibrations. He next theorized that by turning these frequencies around and blasting them back at the affected tissue, one could effectively cleanse the tissue of the disease. This he did with the next invention, the oscilloclast, using which diagnosis and even treatments could be made. In 1916, Abrams promoted his system, electronic reactions of Abrams, or ERA, with a book, New Concepts in Diagnosis and Treatment. And then by 1923, more than 3,000 medical doctors were using oscilloclast. But by the end of his death in 1924, attacks on his ideas were increasingly vociferous. The Lancet, who publishes the highest standard of medical research journals, said healthy chicken blood sent to ERA practitioners had been diagnosed with major diseases, while Scientific American concluded, at best, ERA is an illusion. ERA disappeared almost entirely from the medical arena, but the system evolved, most notably in the refinements of Abrams' student, Dr. Ruth Drone, who renamed it Radionics. From that time forward, there were always pioneers throughout the ages that I'd like to now take a moment to acknowledge. Dr. Royal Raymond Rife, who was an American optics engineer. Dr. Marie Curie, who was a medical doctor, a Polish-French physicist and chemist. Dr. Albert Einstein, who was a German-born physicist. Dr. Ruth Drone, chiropractor, student of Abrams himself. And then we have Nikola Tesla, who was an electrical engineer. And once again, as Dr. Earl mentioned in his presentation earlier, that these sciences, this technology is being used in the medical field for decades and even down to this day. The EEG, the MRI, the EKG, ECG, ultrasound, radiology, hematology, spectrography, CAT scan, CT, etc. I had the privilege of talking to one of my clients who actually is a hematologist, and she was sharing with me the device that they used is exactly the it uses this technology with frequencies to determine the health of the cells under a microscope. And also NASA uses the actual AO scan technology to monitor human biomarkers, and they actually did a study during Lunaris, not exactly sure the pronunciation of that word, analog mission pilot study. Very impressive. Then we come further down into our day with the story of Solex, the AO scan. So Lawrence Swenson took all this information, so I'll read it verbatim. AO technology is based on the works of Nikola Tesla, Dr. Albert Einstein, Dr. Marie Curie, Dr. Raymond Rife, Dr. Albert Abrams, Dr. Heinrich Wilhelm Dove, and other scientists, physicists, and engineers from around the world. He took this information, and in 1988, he made his first device and then modified it. As you can see, it's a little bit smaller here in 2015 as the AO scanner. advanced frequency technology all in one. That's what we have in the palm of our hands. So the technology from the AO scan now is in the palm of your hands. It's a patented AO technology in the mobile form. Okay. So what are we talking about? And what does it do for you? Let's go ahead and listen.
Everything has a frequency, even our bodies. The body's cells can create and receive energy. This energy is information that functions through sending and receiving specific frequencies. When these natural frequencies become mixed up, so does the body's ability to self-regulate and maintain healthy function. We begin to feel unwell. Maybe we are more tired than usual, or have a change in appetite. We may even become sick. When this occurs, the body's frequency level or vibration must be changed. When we want to listen to a particular radio station, we need to tune into the correct frequency of that station in order to reach it. Our bodies are the same way. We need to tune into the correct frequencies to reach the optimal state of being. What if you had a way to measure your own frequencies and, in turn, could use optimizing frequencies to improve your vibration? The answer is now available in the palm of your hand. The AO Scan technology by Solex sends and receives energy, frequency, vibration, and resonance signals, so you know what is going on inside your body. Designed to scan and measure frequencies, then compare them with their established blueprint, AO Scan is able to show variances. Using noise-canceling technology, AO Scan emits opposing frequencies that disable frequencies in chaos, so your body can rest. The result is a movement toward a balanced body and mind. So what exactly are we talking about? Let's get started. Think you can beat a lie detector test? Think again. Your voice will always tell the truth, whether you want it to or not. Did you know that your thoughts and emotions are carried in your vocal cords? No amount of masking your voice can change that fact. Our inner voice scan is derived from the same technology as a lie detector test. The inner voice program helps harmonize your emotional state, including concentration, creativity, and emotional intelligence. This program records a 10-second sample of your voice to isolate and analyze imbalances in your emotional state that present themselves through your vocal cords. The inner voice report will display 3 notes or octaves that are out of balance, as well as the main octave that is being suppressed, and 4 MP3 files are generated. These therapeutic songs, called balancing harmonics, will then play. These tones are unique to your energetic needs. The music files incorporate radionics, binaural beats, and other frequencies to support the balance of your emotional and mental well-being. It is best to listen to these tones first thing in the morning, right before you go to bed, and throughout the day whenever it crosses your mind. The Vital Scan reads the energetic state of your blood biology to identify which areas are out of balance, and then sends optimizing frequencies to teach the body how to come back into balance. The information obtained from the scan includes reports of before and after the optimization. Have you ever worn a pair of noise-canceling headphones? Think of all the noise around you. When you put on the headphones, the outside noise disappears, and you are able to concentrate without all the distractions. This is likened to optimizing frequencies. You are getting rid of the chaos or the noise in your body. When a frequency is out of range, an offsetting optimizing frequency can bring your body's frequencies into range. Essentially, you're cutting the noise of the non-optimal frequencies. The comprehensive scan is, well, comprehensive. It reads and displays information of frequencies from over 130 organs, arteries, veins, glands, nerves, vertebrae, as well as the spine, digestive system, eyes, and lymphatic system, to identify their unique vibrational frequencies that are not in an optimal state. Just as with other scans in our program, optimization offers frequencies to teach the body to move towards balance. This mode of technology offers a comprehensive library of information that is constantly being upgraded on a regular basis. Let's talk about Cephi, a shining star in the AO scan technology. Cephi is an acronym for Subtle Energy Frequency Imprinter. This technology presents a personal menu of thousands of frequencies that address various imbalances in the body. Cephi is designed to capture, amplify, and imprint subtle energy frequencies that can be broadcast to an individual or imprinted into an object. Remember when we talked about trying to listen to a particular radio station, but needing to tune in to the correct frequency of that station in order to reach it? Cephi is like the radio broadcaster, sending out the correct frequencies to help us reach the optimal state of being. The future in wellness is here and now readily available to all. Albert Einstein was right when he said, "Everything is vibration. Future medicine will be the medicine of frequencies." Welcome to that future and the endless possibilities in front of you.
Okay. It's a nice video. Obviously, it gives us an overview as to what the AO Scan app, what you have access to. So now we're going to go into some question and answers. And the first question to be answered is the most common. So here we go. So now that we had all of that amazing information about the science and history of the technology, let's go ahead and have some questions answered. The first question is, how does the AO scan find its target? Every living thing has a signature bioenergetic frequency blueprint. And just like no two people have the same fingerprint, no two people have the same bioenergetic frequency algorithm blueprint, as you can see in the bottom left picture of the DNA strand with the depicted algorithm in the middle of it. Just like a cell phone broadcasts radio frequencies to a cell tower, then a mobile switching center, or MSC, and lastly, the MSC broadcasts these radio frequencies to the device with the unique cell number as the recipient. So too, once the profile information is created, the AO scan technology broadcasts frequencies through Solex's patented processor to the recipient with the unique bioenergetic algorithm. Thanks to the modern cloud and advancement of mobile technology, Solex is primed to bring the AO scan to every home in an affordable and accessible manner. And to explain this in a little bit more detail, I have expert Katarina Jones, who's been working with frequencies for over a decade and would like to talk to us a little bit more about this.
Thank you, Timna. Yes, I really love this technology. And one of the questions I get a lot is, how does this know it's me? And it's interesting because you read the reports and it's like, wow, that is definitely me. But how does it know it's me? So it's interesting when you've highlighted the DNA strand. This DNA strand is key. And that's why one of the main points that we put in the scanner is the date of birth back to the day that you were born. Because once that cord was cut, separating you from your mother, then you now have your own bioenergetic frequency blueprint. Okay, that's like a fingerprint. That DNA strand, nobody else has that. And it's interesting because we use the different points of contact or information like facial recognition. We use the, shape of the eyes, the face, all of those things, plus the different information. We give it way more information we need to find you. You actually only need 3 points to triangulate your individual bioenergetic signature. It's interesting because I sometimes use the analogy of a song. When you hear the dun, 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 you know what song it is. There's no other song like that. You know what it is. So imagine you're born and all of a sudden on the scene comes dun, 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 dun. And then 5 years later or 10 years later, there's a dun, 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 dun. And then, oh, in history, we also can find, here she is again, popping up, dun, 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 dun. That's your personal tone. So everything in that DNA strand is emitting a vibrational frequency that is giving you your own personal symphony, so to speak. And so that's able to be captured and in the frequency line, and it can be found anywhere. NASA did a really neat study where they had cells that divided, and they took the original cells and left them in the petri dish on Earth and sent the other cells up into space. And when they did test on the cells here on Earth, they were able to read the readings on the one in space, which was incredible. That's called quantum entanglement. It wraps around. There is no length that you are not entangled. Once that symphony is found, it's found. Granted, we're not going out to space, so it's much easier. I'm grateful that the technology that we've used throughout generations is able to be brought to you and I individually on an affordable basis.
I love it. I do too. And thank you so much for that explanation. That was absolutely perfect. And enjoy the rest of your evening.
Have a good one.
Okay. So that answers that first question for us. I thought she did a great job. And then next, we're going to ask the question. Let's see what's next. What are chakras? Chakras are Sanskrit words for endocrine points. So chakras are actually an extension of the endocrine system. The picture here is showing you exactly that point, the energetic part of the body's nervous system connecting to the chakras, or extension of the endocrine system. I thought this was a beautiful picture to explain it in a scientific way. And then the next question, a little bit of tidbits on chakras. So the connection between chakras and frequencies. Each chakra spins or vibrates at a certain frequency. This concept bears striking resemblance to the scientific understanding of neural oscillations or brain waves, which also oscillate at different frequencies. These frequencies are known to change based on our mental and emotional state, much like the spinning of chakras is believed to do the same. Colors in chakras. Each chakra is traditionally associated with a specific color, ranging from red for the root chakra to violet for the crown chakra. Interesting enough, these colors correspond to the colors of the visible light spectrum, each of which has a specific frequency. For instance, red light has a lower frequency and longer wavelength, while violet light has a higher frequency and shorter wavelength. This correlation suggests a potential link between the color frequencies and the vibrational frequencies of the chakras. Chakras and the shapes. The shapes associated with each chakra is also present in an intriguing connection to frequencies. When certain frequencies are played through a medium like water or sand, they create specific patterns known as somatic shapes. The shapes associated with each chakra bear a striking resemblance to these somatic shapes, suggesting a potential link between chakra frequencies and the frequencies that create these patterns. Next question. What are meridians? Energy pathways through the body connecting the endocrine system. Again, we see the picture here to illustrate. Chakras, meridians, the endocrine system can be likened to a circuit breaker and wiring in your home. If the circuit is tripped, no electricity goes through the wiring. The endocrine system is your hormone messaging system. If it's blocked due to mental, emotional, or physical stressors, imbalances occur in the body. For example, if the brain sends the message to release digestive enzymes, but the message does not get through, your food will not be digested. No nutrients will be absorbed, and you will be constipated. Next question. Can I scan my pets? Yes, absolutely. They're living things, and the AO scanner allows you to do that for your pets. Can I scan my kids? Yes, absolutely. They're little human beings, and the scanner allows you to add them as a profile. Can my family use my subscription? There are no limitations to the number of people you can add to your software subscription. However, it's suggested one subscription per household. So now you heard all this amazing information. How can I get the AO Scan app? You go to shopsolexnation.com. Here's the QR code. Enter the name of the person who referred you and get started. Now that you know the science, the history of the technology, the best thing you can do at this point is start using the technology and see how your life changes. Here's some references as to where the material was from. These are all some credible science and medical research references, everything from PubMed to NASA to some different other medical journals and more. And then some additional references to share. Okay. And that concludes my special presentation for the evening. With that being said, does anyone have any specific questions at this point? Quite informative. Yep, Zena?
When will this video be out?
Immediately.
Okay. It'll be in WhatsApp?
I'm gonna, as soon as we're done with our, yeah, if there's any more